your first job is to pick which windows you're going to do, and I'm going to have a go at my front windows here, and there's 6 of them. And I'm going to start off with these side windows, which you can see are kind of long and skinny. So I'm going to see how many bits of tracing paper. I think the tracing paper is about the right width. Lovely, yeah. So I've got a tiny bit, a small amount of space on either side, but just about 1 millimetre. So I think I've got room to stick another one on. So I've stuck 2 bits together. You can see I've just done a little overlap. I've just used sellotape, and then I made another one of them because I've got 2 windows that look like that. And now I'm ready to think about what sort of a long skinny design might look good. Okay, so I'm going to go for a silhouette, I think. So I've stuck my 2 bits of tracing paper together, and I'm going to do the same with 2 pieces of sugar paper because I want quite a big design to have lots of impact. So I think that would be easier for me to think about if the black paper's sort of the size of the window as well. So I'm going to stick them together with a sellotape, and then I'm going to sketch directly onto the black paper. And I've decided I'm going to go for a donkey on this side, like it's looking out of my house, and maybe a camel on the other side. Okay, so I drew my donkey. I drew it in pencil. You can see there's some pencil lines still there where I made him. I decided to make him a bit fatter and shaggier, so I haven't done it quite on the pencil lines. But I can rub them out because it's just pencil, but they won't be visible at night anyway, but just to be neat I might rub them out anyway. So I cheated a little bit. I got an image off the internet that I liked and I copied that over. But you can draw your own, that would be lovely. What you do is you need to think about kind of what the light bits are going to be and what the dark bits are going to be. Now because I'm sticking this, it doesn't matter that it's ripped in places because I'll stick that down, so don't worry too much. I use scissors for most of it, but with this more detailed bit, like trying to make it look like wood, that's where I use the craft knife. So that's my basic silhouette. Hopefully he'll look a bit donkey-like once he's up in the window, like he's peeking out. So now I'm going to have a think about how I can put a bit of colour in there. So I'm going to get my tissue paper out. So I can fill in this beam of colour, I can fill in the donkey's face. I'm going to start off with putting the colours in the background for my donkey. And I'm going to have a go at doing this dry, so just using the Pritt stick and the tissue paper. And then for the bigger background stuff, I'm going to go for PVA with a little bit of water. So I'm going to flip my donkey over because that's his front. So there we go, because I'm on the back. So I'm going to just use a little bit of Pritt stick to stick. I couldn't find any brown, so I'm going to go for a purple donkey. That'll look nice, I think. And I'm just going to put a little bit of Pritt stick around here, and then I don't need to cut it to the exact size because you won't see this bit's the back. And then I'm going to cover it over. Any bits extra I'll trim off, so I'll start doing that. Okay, so I've done the donkey's face, and you can see I haven't worried about being too neat because I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to do my wooden beam now. Just to say that I'm putting the Pritt stick onto the sugar paper, onto the black paper, because it's easier that way if you try and do it on the tissue paper because it's a bit thinner. It doesn't work very well. So I've flipped them back over. You can see it's beginning to look nice and colourful. I've got a little bits of the wrong colour in the wrong place. That's okay. I'm just going to snip them off with scissors. Okay, so he's not stuck down yet. It's still. That's what the back looks like. He's still up. So now I think I'm going to go for my background. And I'm going to go for maybe a bit of a yellow glow around the donkey. So I don't need to fill in behind him because obviously no one will see through that. He's black. So, but it's going to be easier to do it without him on there. Make the background and stick him on top. So I'm just going to draw around him lightly in a pencil so I can see where he's going to go. and then I won't waste my tissue paper doing that bit. So for this bit I am going to use just ordinary PVA, and I've just loosened it up by putting just a splash of water in. So that's what I'm going to be using for this next bit. Just give it a bit of a mix. And I'm going to try not to get it too wet, because the tracing paper goes a little bit crinkly if you get it too wet. And I'm going to try and keep it reasonably flat, so I'm just going to be sparing with my glue. And then I think I'm just going to fill it up quite simply. Okay, so I've cut myself up some quite big bits of the different colours I'm going to use. You could use specific shapes, you could make it part of the pattern, but I'm just going to go for filling the background in and try and make it look like the donkey's glowing a bit. If you've got a sponge, that would be ideal, like a washing up sponge, but I've just got an old bit of cloth that I'm using to spread my glue out. That works fine too, or I could use my fingers if I don't mind peeling it. And then I'm just going to fill it up with my tissue paper. Okay, so you can see I've been quite rough and ready. I've just put quite big bits on, and I've covered over where you won't see because of the donkey. So what I'm going to do now, and I've got some bits to trim off the edge, if it's overhanged, I've not worried about it as I go along. I'm going to trim that all off at the end. I'm going to go over it all just with a thin layer of the glue, and not getting it too wet, just to make sure everything's stuck down really nicely, and also it'll help it go a bit see-through, a bit more see-through. Okay, I've stuck my donkey back down. I'm just going to go around and do it a bit more. So I just put a bit of Pritt stick on and put him down, and then I'm going to neaten up any little bits where I've got maybe a little bit of colour missing, or where it's peeling off a little bit. And then I'm going to trim round, and then I'm going to see how he looks in the window. Okay, so I'm sticking it up, my first one, in the window. So I'm just using sellotape. Okay, so that's what it looks like from outside, and that's just with the lights that are in the room. So I've just left the light on basically. I've got a light behind me that comes on and off. Yeah, there you go, it's off again. But I think it's looking all right. I might add a bit of detail down the bottom to make it look a bit more like it's in a stable.